Hi, Year 9 and Year 10. I just want to quickly breeze through towards our next session and just take you through what you should have done already. Just reminding you of some of the keywords that we've seen and we've used. Recently, we've used a reef example as our explanation for some of these keywords on the left that you can see. There again, look, I'm riding a turtle, which is great. I had some key questions. Again, some more of these questions, and hopefully you've had the opportunity to answer some of those and sent the work into your teacher. And then your final task last lesson was just a summary task where you were asked to use some of these keywords to describe what's going on in this very, very busy lake environment or ecosystem. So in today's lesson, we're going to be looking at biotic and abiotic factors. So they are living, biotic, and abiotic, non-living factors that affect animals and the ecosystem. Well, first of all, I'm going to ask you to pause your video and answer the following questions. And I'll give you around about 3 minutes to do that. So take your time, go through them, just pause the video now, and I'll be back again in a moment. Pause the video if you haven't already. Thank you. Oh, you're back. Wow, wonderful. You're back and you're ready to see what the answers are. Well, an ecosystem is essentially all the living and non-living parts of an environment. So when we use our reef, like I said previously, we've got the plants, we've got the coral, we've got the rocks, we've got the turtles, we've got the weird little group of fish in the corner. Our habitat, and that is meant to say definition. I keep changing it. For some reason, it just keeps on changing back. What is the definition of a habitat? Well, it's the place where an animal lives. What is interdependence? Well, like in our previous video, interdependence is when organisms rely on each other for survival. And if one thing happens to one, it does impact what happens to the other. Where does energy come from in an ecosystem? Well, we'll look more on this when we do food chains, but essentially for most ecosystems, it's from the sun. What materials are recycled in an ecosystem? Well, currently at the moment, I'm breathing out carbon dioxide with a mixture of other gases, absorbing some of the oxygen from the air, and that process happens in kind of like a cycling. I'm not doing the Macarena right now, even though it's tempting. I'm just moving my hands to show the cycling of different materials. Now, keywords for today's lesson. Abiotic. When a word has got A in front of it, as you can see here, there, that normally means non. So it's non-living. So if I move me out of the way just quickly, and there we are, move me out of the way, you'll see it's things such as the climate, temperature, water, soil type, all the things in the environment or the ecosystem which are non-living. And then biotic is the living things, such as the plants, the animals, the bacteria. And then we also have the keywords from last lesson that are really, really relevant for what we're doing here today. So get those down. If there's new ones, add them to your glossary. It would be really great if you could continue to build your glossary with the words you don't understand, because essentially what we're going to be using is I'm going to be modelling some of them, and I want you to be writing some of them down as well. Next slide, please. Now that we've done our recap and we've looked at our keywords, what I want us to focus on is you were sent a booklet as a part of your Show My Homework package today. If you haven't got that yet, pause now and bring this up. The booklet looks like what we've got on the screen here. And then what I'd like you to do is, for our next task, focusing on this area here, this table, is as we go through our examples, you might like to write down. So, for example, when we look at how light intensity affects an organism, you might say the plants are affected because they rely on light or affected sorry, Miss Green, they rely on light for photosynthesis. Hope that explains how to do the task. I'm going to get on to explaining some of the individual bits of that now. Look at that magic. So if we first of all have a look at the non-living factors, I've listed them there for you. Light intensity, temperature, moisture, soil pH, wind intensity, the availability of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm just going to quickly have a look and just pull some of these out and just give you some of these examples. I'm not going to go through every one because I think it's important that you take some of the thinking involved to do some of them. So I'm going to go light intensity. Well, you can probably see down the bottom here, we have got, if my pen's going to work, we have got a plant. I can tell it's a plant because it's green and therefore is doing photosynthesis. Now, the amount of light a plant gets affects how well it grows. That is how a non-living factor, light, affects how an organism grows. Again, something like temperature. Some of these organisms would not survive in the Arctic because it's too cold. Their bodies are not adapted, and what normally happens when your body starts to get cold is some of the enzymes in your body, you probably remember that from biology paper 1, they are molecules that help to break down foods and also help to speed up reactions in our body. They stop working as well. Another one I'm going to talk to you about, because for me it's probably the most fascinating one, is the pH, so how acidic or alkali a solution is. So we're talking about the solution here, the ocean. And we've got a big issue on our planet at the moment, which is some of the oceans are becoming acidic. And there's no better example of where the acid level of the ocean is affecting organisms than in a reef. Coral species, these things here, these wonderful, beautiful coloured things, are really starting to suffer. And they're starting to suffer because they're not adapted to live in an environment that is acidic. Now, I'm just going to give you an opportunity now to have a little think about these other ones and then try and work out some examples and write some of them down as to how temperature might affect, moisture levels might affect. And it doesn't have to be this environment here. You can choose your plants outside in your garden. You could use, I don't know, a jaguar in a rainforest. It doesn't matter which organisms. I just want to know how these abiotic factors affect them. So I'm going to let you pause and give that a go. So you should be paused now. Oh, hi, you're back. It's nice to see you again. So hopefully you've had an opportunity to have a look at these factors and how they affect these different organisms. I'm really excited to see some of your examples that you'll give me. So obviously share it via the normal channels you would share your work with your teacher. Let's go on to our next one, where surprisingly we are going to look at the living factors, so the biotic factors within an ecosystem. So again, I'm going to rattle through maybe 2 of them, and then I'm going to let you think about the other ones. So I'm going to do new pathogens and disease and new predators. And you don't have to be Einstein to work out that, oh, his hair's a bit messy. There we go. You don't have to be Einstein to work out that if a disease starts spreading through the reef, it's going to affect some of these creatures. Their population, so the number of animals in an area, definition, is going to decline. If one animal's population starts to decline, because other animals depend on it, that also goes down. I know Einstein. They are smart. Yes, they are. Now, Stay down there, Einstein. Now, our next one that I'm going to discuss is also predators. Unfortunately, because humans travel the world, sometimes, like in reef environments, we introduce new predators. So we might put an animal in here that would not normally be found in there. It's a big issue with this at the moment, with people releasing tropical fish into reef environments like this that would normally be kept in a completely different area of the world with similar conditions. But when those animals get released into these environments, they can do real damage to the food chains, and then that disrupts the whole ecosystem. So biotic factors are a really nice one to get your teeth into in terms of, and that's not a predator joke, into understanding how factors can affect an ecosystem. So the ones I want you to do is to think about how the availability of food and competition between species starts to affect animals. And remember, throughout this, on the booklet you had that nice bit which gave you the factor and then how it affects organisms. The factor, how it affects organisms. So I'm going to pause again, and I'm probably just going to keep chatting to my friend Einstein. You know, me and him love hanging out. Yeah, I made that joke. Anyway, pause, get on with it. Should be paused. Okay, I'm back. So hopefully you've had an opportunity to think about how the availability of food affects people. If you want a bonus, if I don't get food, I get hangry. And then we also got competition between species. Well, if two different species eat the same thing, they're competing over it. And therefore, if one is better at eating the thing that one wants, what's going to happen to the population of that one? Well, it's going to decline. And it's these delicate, beautiful relationships in reef systems and in any other ecosystem in the world where this comes into play. So just as a quick summary, here's your abiotic factors. You need to fill the table in on your booklet page, looking at how these factors affect organisms. You can use the reef example if you want my verbal guidance, the biotic factors and how they affect it. And then what I'd like you to do is this summary task here. Yes, that is a frog wearing a hat. He pulls it off better than I could. Here's my little buddy squirrel again that we've seen before. And here's our lake ecosystem. So what I want you to do is choose two of these boxes. There's one that's based on a lot of keywords and just going over some previous content, the blue one. And then number 4 is where some of the tasks get a little bit more challenging and you just need to give little reasons for your answers and things like that. And then number 7 onwards can be quite challenging. It'd be lovely to see some of these answers, and we'll probably share some really good examples via the social media channels. I've rattled on long enough today. I'm really excited to see some of your answers to these. Well done for engaging with what we're doing. We are trying our best, and if there's anything you need, you can email your science teacher, email me directly, phone the school to get my email if you've forgotten it, but just in case you have, it's loneil@alnsconnected.com or sciencehelp@alns.co.uk. I've rattled on enough now. I look forward to seeing some of these. You take care and make sure you're staying safe. Bye.